This is a submarine. This is a smaller submarine. And this is a whale shark. What if we mix them into a futuristic submarine design? What would it look like? This is a question that has plagued mankind from the beginning of time. And you know what? I think I've managed to pull it off. Behold, my magnificent vehicle ready to hit the water and take the crew for an exotic journey beneath the waves. Many of you are probably asking, would this even work? And to tell you the truth, I have absolutely no idea, but just look at it. If I saw this being offered as a tour in the Barrier Reef, I'd probably ask my wife to book us a trip the next day. Now let me share with you some of her features. She comes with a single operator and 8 spaciously designed seating arrangements to enjoy an almost 360-degree view of the ocean, easy access via the top of the stairs that even your nana could make her way into without getting her feet wet, and along the side, sporting the latest in LED technology to illuminate little Nemo and his friends nearby. But the real beauty lies in her mechanical tail. Designed to function just like a real shark, she soars through the water with minimal sound. I've also included a backup prop system hidden inside that can be engaged and take her back to port should the tail system fail. Now, all we need to do is slice it, print it, and paint it. You know, guys, normally I enjoy sharing the problems and showing you how difficult and painful this can be sometimes. But I'm going to spare you that for the most part, and I'm going to skip right ahead. So this is the initial 3D print. Came out reasonably well. The biggest factor is the actual canopy itself. It is just paper thin. And so in order to kind of correct this, I am going to have to kind of go back and modify the model, adjust the scale and the thickness of the walls, and make this work again. Now I jump ahead, and then all of a sudden I broke the tail. So apologies that you didn't actually get to see that on camera. But I just had more and more problems. The canopy itself wasn't really fitting properly. Didn't catch range footage of that either. So I don't want to just have the whole video with me just making mistakes after mistake after mistake. We are going to just jump right ahead to something that is working. Oh, that's right, my friends. She's white. I've decided to use a rattle cam for this one after the amount of failures that I've had with hitting white with my airbrush. I just got sick of it. Half a dozen times is just too many times to keep making the same mistakes. I'm like, let's get around this problem and use a rattle can. So now I'm moving over to the yellow color. Now this is primarily based on some of those earlier, submarines where yellow seems to be one of those colors where I think it kind of just sort of speaks to that sort of fun nature and adventure. And this is the vibe that I'm going for. Like it's intended to sort of belong to maybe like a futuristic resort where the guests can basically explore the local reef system with these kind of vehicles. And maybe they go about 20 meters deep. I wouldn't expect it to go much deeper than that. And then the rest of the body was going to be hit with this Vallejo metal paint. And just a shout out to Vallejo's metal paint, honestly. This is absolute silk. There's no pre-mixing outside of just shake it, pour it into the actual airbrush, and off you go. This thing just goes on butter. And the other thing I love about this paint is that it's so versatile. Like to actually hand paint with this, it works incredibly well. And yeah, I can't recommend this one enough. So in case any of you are wondering, this original idea was actually a part of a competition I entered many years ago. I think it was from an old work colleague who suggested it. And I spent, one evening kind of sculpting this thing. And then I kind of left it there and abandoned it. And then I was going through some old stuff and I found it. And so I thought, wouldn't this be fun to kind of bring it out? Because typically speaking, I normally focus on my military and vehicles like that in the future. But, it's fun to do something rather than dystopian, but more utopian. We can sometimes fantasize too much about the dystopian future. But I think sometimes it's bring it back to something fun and positive and the vehicle that kind of explores a reef system. I thought, why not? Let's do this. Now, I should probably talk about these little figures. Initially, I wasn't going to do anything, because I felt like the canopy is going to hide and obscure many things. But then I thought, why not try out and test some of these AI models that are generating models from these photos? And I took a couple of photos of myself and my family, put ourselves roughly into these poses, and hit generate. And to be honest, it looked like a potato. It did not come out well. And the only reason why I'm using these at this point is because the scale is so small. The details don't need to be that finesse in order for it to work. But one thing I kind of liked what it did is that it kind of gave me these nice proportions, and the poses kind of helped save a bit of time. So in the end, it was a time-saving exercise. Like, it did shave time. I did initially look at some online stuff to buy from some of the stores, some figures. But to be honest, I couldn't really find anything that kind of suited the look that I was going for. I wanted them to feel more natural. And yeah, I thought I'd give it a test out. But outside of like anything larger than a scale like this, I don't think I would use, And I would love to explore with it a bit more, because sculpting characters is one of these time-consuming jobs. For me, it's not fun. I know a lot of people out there love characters, but I personally prefer the vehicles. And so doing a character is like, I don't want to waste my time doing this. So if I can find a cheap, more effective way of doing this, then I'm going to try it. We're at the fun, delightful stage of assembling the submarine. Here's my first son getting glued into position. Now, in case some of you are wondering, I had originally intended on using this to be built into a diorama, submerged in resin. But as time went on, I didn't have the confidence, and I just didn't really have the necessary workspace, and I wasn't willing to make that risk with such a bigger piece. I think I would rather do something a bit smaller before attempting something as big as this. So I think what I'll do in the future is come back to this, and we'll do a proper diorama with a reef system and some sharks, and we'll just work that around the model, and I think that'll be just as fun. Now, with our crew firmly in place, it was time to move on to my favorite part of any project, which is the pin wash. Now, these little holes here basically represent where the ballast tanks would be open to the ocean. So the idea is that obviously a submarine, it sinks itself by taking in water, and then it's able to push that water out, and then it raises back up to the surface again. So I didn't need a lot. It made sense to kind of keep it simple and easy to read. But yeah, it's always a fun part of this project. But let's skip over the pin wash, because you guys have seen my previous videos. You will know I can spend too much time here. Moving into some weathering. I didn't know how far I was going to go with a vehicle like this, because I'm kind of more used to doing military vehicles, which would incur a lot of destruction, weathering, and stuff like that. So my thought was, let's just go simple. Now, because a lot of water vehicles, you typically sort of see, subtle rust stains kind of trickling down from the anchors and things like that. So I figured we need something to kind of tie it to something that felt more realistic. And so I'm just using a little bit of enamel with some thinner, and I'm just trying to drag down some some streaks. And yeah, I think this kind of came out too well, but I think with a vehicle like this, there is a tendency potentially to go too far, because again, imagine from a guest perspective, they arrive at this vehicle, they want to enjoy their holiday, and they see this rusting hulk. It's like, what? We're supposed to get in this? Does it keep the water out? So yeah. But I like the way that this is sort of tied together, and brings it back down to something more grounded and real. As always, guys, if you would like to attempt to build this model, it'll be available on my Patreon. Until then, stay safe.